You might have remember Project Veritas. Project Veritas is a group that just does all these kind of undercover videos to try to bring this truth to the screen for people about things where, and they were, for the one example, are the people who talked to Planned Parenthood and got the Planned Parenthood people when they didn't know they're being filmed to admit, of course, they sell baby body parts and how much, this baby body part is worth, this much is worth. Well, they did another video, and they have, I want to play the video for you first, then talk about the significance this has to having any sense of fairness in the 2020 presidential elections. This is an undercover video Project Veritas did related to Google. Go ahead.
Today, we bring you a Google insider, a brave man who came forward and brought us a story that will scare you.
I think sunlight is the best disinfectant, and people need to start asking questions.
A couple weeks before the Google insider came forward, Project Veritas secretly recorded with Jen Janai, a Google executive. Janai talks about making sure when people search for things through machine learning algorithms, Google's political agenda is always present.
We all got screwed over in 2016. Again, it wasn't just us, it was like people got screwed over, the news media got screwed over, like everybody got screwed over. So now we're rapidly being like, what happened there? How do we prevent it from happening again?
Right after Donald Trump won the election in 2016, the company did a complete 180 in what they thought was important. Before, they thought self-expression and giving everyone a voice was important. But now they're like, hey, there's a lot of hate, and because of there's a lot of hate, misogyny, and racism, that's the reason why Donald Trump got elected. And so we need to fix that, and we need to start policing our users because we don't like to have an outcome like that. We don't want to have an outcome like that to happen again.
Jen Janai is the head of responsible innovation at Google Global Affairs. She determines policy and ethics for machine learning, or artificial intelligence. What we've learned is that AI is increasingly what Google Search is all about.
The reason we launched our AI principles is because people were not putting that line in the sand, and they were not saying what is fair and what's equitable. So we're like, well, we are a big company, we're going to say it. Where my definition of fairness and bias specifically talks about historically marginalized communities, and that's who I care about. Communities who are in power and have traditionally been in power are not who I'm solving fairness for. Our definition of fairness is one of those things that we thought would be like obvious and everybody would agree to, and it wasn't. Like there are the same people who voted for the current president do not agree with our definition of fairness.
Fairness is a dog whistle. It does not mean what you think that it means, and you have to apply doublethink in order to understand what they're really saying. And what they're really saying about fairness is that they have to manipulate their search results so that it gives them their political agenda that they want. And so they have to rebias their algorithms so that they can get their agenda across.
Project Veritas also received a trove of confidential documents from within Google. This document is about algorithmic unfairness. It reads, quote, "For example, imagine that a Google image query for CEOs shows predominantly men. Even if it were a factually accurate representation of the world, it would be algorithmic unfairness," unquote. Gaurav Gite, a Google software engineer, independently verified the thesis of this document.
But then there are teams which are called ML fairness.
ML fairness, the teams?
Fairness, like,
yeah.
You need to be fair.
Yeah.
So they're trying to modify the model such that even if the data for female CEOs is
it's low.
It's low.
It kind of balances out.
It still balances out.
Okay. Why I wanted to play that for you is this. And, if I had to have a theme, this is usually Monday, I say it's Deep Dive Monday. I want to get at the theme, if there had to be one today. And there doesn't have to be, but I like the theme of being really alert to when you're being manipulated, when you're being lied to, and to also, the other thing I would say is social justice warriors, like those two people you were just seeing from Google, what they're really about is imposing their sense of fairness on everybody else. And so I want to just hit a couple points about this. Just be aware of this. This is gonna be an explosive story. I'm gonna hit about 3 or 4 points about this and move on. One is recognize what that guy, by the way, his voice, he was obviously had his voice modified. He's a whistleblower from inside Google, probably doesn't want to get sued or killed or, attacked on social media. So he's only willing to talk to Project Veritas with his voice altered and his obviously sitting there in the dark. So first point he's making is they are manipulating the search results. So like when you type in something, Google is imposing its sense of fairness on what you see, what results you get. Obviously, the more specific inquiry you do, the more you're likely to dig in and find what you're looking for. But for the vast majority of search results, you type in some generic thing, and this guy is telling America that Google is altering and they called it machine learning algorithms, that they're artificial intelligence, altering the algorithm so what the search comes up with is what they want you to think, what they want you to read, and doesn't come up with the things they don't want you to read. Also note this woman's definition of fairness. It has nothing to do with a principle, a rule, a law. It is all personal, subjective. She decides which groups in this country or this world are to be considered historically marginalized, and whatever she then thinks is better for those groups that she has defined as historically marginalized, she is pushing an agenda that she believes would help that group. It's nothing about truth. It's nothing about facts. It's nothing about principles. It is about picking personal favorites, sympathizing with some group, hating another group, sympathizing with alleged victims in society, and manipulating the results you see as a result of her sense of fairness. This Google person who came and unloaded unfortunately for us in Project Veritas. So he's talking about one thing is a result of Google searches. Another one is about talking about YouTube. He was sharing with Project Veritas, YouTube deliberately suppresses PragerU, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, other people they see as inconsistent with or not standing up for their values. So this is what Google, which owns YouTube, is doing. They are, and very much this woman, we didn't play every clip she had to say, but she went out of her way to say, this woman who is a high executive at Google, to say they intend to not permit a replication of the 2020 election, of the 2016 elections. It is not right that Donald Trump won, and I'm paraphrasing her, not right that Trump won, and they're going to see that doesn't happen again, and so they're manipulating results. Our good friends at Center for Security Policy, we've had many guests on from that group, talked about this idea that Google should be considered to be engaged in political warfare. Now, there are arguments. In fact, one last point this gal from Google said is she really dislikes Senator Warren's idea, and other Democrats have been saying we have to break up big tech, break up big tech, and because they're just too powerful. And she's saying, this young lady is saying, well, Senator Warren, she's great and I love her, but she's wrong about that, because these smaller companies, if they break up Google and all those other companies, those small companies won't have the power that Google has to manipulate American thought. So she's against being broken up because she wants Google to manipulate America's thought. She thinks it's her job. She thinks it's her job as a social justice warrior to decide what you get to think about.